Flagship Ranger. This is my favorite build of all time. It even surpasses Ghostlands. For all of you who don't know, Tabletop Builds has a flagship build series where they created 7 builds that they believe are the most powerful builds in the game. For the full details, you can check out the link to their introduction to the series in the description. You guys know that I love Ranger. The class is basically what made me want to become a content creator, to tell the internet how good it actually is. But these guys went even further than good. They brought the class to amazing. Actually to a point where it is so powerful that you need to make sure your table is okay with the power it brings. Usually each flagship build has one variant, but this one instead goes into significantly higher detail about certain branch-off points and alterations you may want to make due to your campaign's level range, party composition, and so on. Check out the article to find out what they suggest beyond their default suggestion that I'll be talking about in the video. Welcome to Pack Tactics. I'm here to kill gnomes and eat good berries, but I'm all out of berries. The Flagship Ranger is built upon a 5-level core of the Gloomstalker Ranger and excels in 3 specific niches. 1. First turn Nova damage. 2. Pass without trace uptime combined with continued contribution to combats while maintaining concentration. And 3. Enabling high encounter density adventuring days by providing uncontested healing. But Kobold, that is only 5 levels of Ranger! How can you even call it a Ranger build? It's important to look at the actual play experience. You're gonna be a Ranger and play like a Ranger throughout the majority of its progression. So it's a Ranger build. What else can we actually call it? It's not like a Ghostlands where it feels like a brand new class, even though it's just a fighter warlock hybrid. This just feels and plays like a Ranger, so it's a Ranger build. Kobold, what does this multi-class into? We multi-class into 5 different classes. Wait, what? This multi-class is 5 times? Yeah, there's 6 classes in this build. We're gonna grab all the best stuff. Holy moly! Yeah, it's pretty fun. Anyways, time to start the video finally. Race, Vuman or custom lineage, and pick up crossbow expert. Skills, perception, stealth, and athletics. Background is whatever, your character, but I do recommend you get arcane and nature. Nature will be for poisons. Yes, this build will be making poisons too at late game, hopefully. And by the way, not all poisons are bad. There are a few poisons that are pretty good. Arcana is for making scrolls. I made a video all about how to do it. Link in the description. Ability score 9 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 13 charisma. The 14 wisdom and 13 charisma will allow us to multi-class to all the classes we want. Here's your purchase goals, by the way. I want to add scrolls too to this list, like Scroll of Revivify, but you get the gist. Right from tier 1, the aim of this build is to leverage 2 specific strategies that this excels at. Using crossbow expert, sharpshooter, dread ambusher, and umbral sight to deal as much damage as possible from range to single targets. Particularly on the first turn, where it's at its most effective. And using a finely tuned selection of spells, Goodberry, Absorb Elements, and Fog Clouds to make the most of what little magic it has. We're going to be juggling Goodberries. If you want to know how that works, check out this video. As for Fog Cloud, it's mainly against creatures with pack tactics. Here's a video about that. It's super old. Crossbow expert and sharpshooter are quite common, you guys know all about it. But tabletop builds even made a heuristic to decide when you should and shouldn't use your power attack. That is awesome. I don't know any build guide that actually does that. Read the article for the full details on it. But just in case you don't know, your main weapon is the hand crossbow. This is your magnum. Dread Ambusher makes it so that during the first turn of combat, your walking speed is increased by 10 feet. And you you get to make an additional weapon attack with a d8 extra damage when taking the attack action. Additionally, you gain a bonus to initiative equal to your wisdom modifier. Umbral Sight makes it so that you are invisible to creatures that would otherwise only see you using their dark vision. And because you get advantage for being unseen, this increases your damage frequently up to 50%. This helps not only offensively but also defensively, as abilities that require sight won't be able to harm you at all, and attacks against you will have disadvantage. Make sure to use darkness to your advantage to remain unseen. In order to help you achieve that consistently, you need to travel at night. For more details about optimizing the night, check out my Gloomstalker video and my Bullseye Lantern video. And check out Describe, where you can get Kobold! I've been watching other YouTubers and they're calling Describe as Describe. Wait, I've been saying it wrong for almost a whole year now? Yeah, I think so. They probably thought it was funny though. Well, that's embarrassing. Anyways, with Describe, you'll hopefully learn English and use it against your players to blow their minds. The box descriptions are written by authors, and one of them has even written for Wizards of the Coast. They've also got banging tunes and sound effects. The barbarian theme sounds like God of War. It could be an epic track that builds up to a brutal fight where the players have to kill 2 storm giants. That's a good example, actually. If you look up storm giants, you get the box description and the ambient sound with it. Gator, don't you feel blown away? Don't you feel immersed? What? Kobold, there's too much blowing. What did you say? You see, guys, it's working. He's immersed. I highly recommend you check him out, and if you do, please press the link in the description. That helps me too. Describe.com/PackTactics. And if you like what you see, they hope to earn your subscription. Use the code PackTactics at the checkout to get 10% off your first subscription payments. Back to the video. The build basically comes online at level 5. It gets Pass Without Trace, the best spell in the entire game. It also gets Rope Trick, which is another really good spell. Many people misunderstand how Pass Without Trace works, and I won't be able to do the article complete justice, but I will try. Again, check out the linked articles if you want more information, especially this one. Pass Without Trace is the cornerstone of this build, and when used optimally, nearly doubles the power of your entire party. The mechanical strength of Surprise is overwhelming, because early damage in a fight denies more actions than damage later in a fight. The early damage will be more valuable. Monsters will have to save twice against spells like Web, because Surprise still grants them their turn. They are simply unable to act. Your party gets to set up positioning and difficult terrain to halt enemies, and you can usually kill the most threatening monsters in the encounter outright without letting them take an action. This will allow your party to take on far more challenging encounters. Because it's so powerful, you should communicate with your party to take proficiency in stealth at character creation, so that your minimum possible rolls are extremely likely to beat most monsters' passive perception. There are only a few skills that are actually consequential to gameplay, so taking just one through something like your background for team play shouldn't be a big deal, right? And if your party does not buy into this, the build will nonetheless function just fine, though not at full power. However, if your party members completely refuse to engage in stealth gameplay, you can just play another build. It's not a big deal. As to why Pass Without Trace can be a cornerstone to a build, I present the following. While traveling at a slow pace, the characters can move stealthily as long as they are not in the open. They can try to surprise or sneak by other creatures they encounter. This part of the rules gives player characters 2 conditions they must fulfill in order to be able to surprise their enemies. First, they need to be traveling at a slow pace. Second, they can't be in the open. The labyrinthian hallways of a dungeon, the many rooms of a mansion separated by doors, and the curved passages in caves are examples of environments where the players are reasonably able to attempt to remain hidden. Notably, a character carefully opening a door and glancing into another room does not put them in the open. If an adventuring party fulfills these two conditions, they are eligible to attempt surprising enemies they encounter, allowing the players to roll stealth checks to determine if they indeed do so. It's really important to understand how to make best use of the spell, as it will come up all the time. You should cast a spell as soon as you head into a dangerous territory. Treat every door you open, every corner you go around, like there might be an encounter there. You don't need to know the threat ahead of time to surprise it. All you have to do is move at a slow pace and do so stealthily. And you have to do this as much as you possibly can. Do not interact with inanimate elements of the dungeon unless absolutely necessary until the area is cleared. It doesn't matter what this contraption we found in the dungeon room does. We're opening this door and surprising any monsters that might be behind it. Kill the entire dungeon first until you have to rest. Backtrack later to explore the dungeon and loot it. If something can be done stealthily, you do it stealthily. But Kobold, what if I'm traveling through something like a desert? No way can I surprise enemies then, right? True, if you traverse open fields, you will be unable to easily surprise enemies. Instead, you can pull out your longbow and attack from its maximum range. If the enemy runs towards you, you run backwards. If the enemy runs away from you, you follow them. This tactic allows you to kill most monsters in the game before they can attack you. At this point, you only have 2 spell slots for Pass Without Trace, which is not a lot. But it's definitely enough to steamroll through most adventuring days that Tier 2 content provides. And if I'm wrong about this, then make Scrolls of Pass Without Trace. That will then be your emergency backup. That is why you should always invest into Arcana. Arcana is super good. Also look out for Scrolls of Revivify and of course Half Plate. You can go for Breastplate, but I prefer Half Plate because more AC. Don't worry about the disadvantage to stealth, it doesn't do much. At level 6, you pick up a level in Life Cleric to get Disciple of Life to boost good berries. We call them life berries, and they're super duper good. Life berries fundamentally change the optimal resource management of a group. Ideally, you cast the spell right before the end of your long rest to maximize how long they last into the next day, and so you have spell slots at the ready should you be ambushed during your rest. We call that rest casting, link in the description. You don't have to rest cast because the spell lasts longer than the long rest. This is just an option. Either way, doing this means you start your day with abundant of healing available. If you spend all your slots after a day of downtime, you have 260 hit points worth of healing. Yes, 260 hit points worth of healing. And it's all available at level 6. This means expending other resources to defend your hit points has become less efficient. That means the party should be more willing to hold back resources, like spells, magic item charges, limited use class abilities, stuff like that than what happened at the previous levels. And you should be more willing to take some extra damage in return, since you could just heal it right off after the encounter using life berries. Of course, you want to stay above 0 hit points, as life berries unfortunately don't bring back the dead. The point is, this strategy change allows your entire party to spend less resources and take more damage, not just you. Do your best to communicate this and make sure the other players understand that they can go far longer into a day than they could before, if they just pace their resources right. By the way, pick up Bless, Healing Word, and Sanctuary too. Here and there you might actually need to cast those spells. After this, the build takes 3 levels in Battle Master to increase the power of its first turn Nova with Action Surge and Precision Attack. Action Surge works super well with Dread Ambusher. Remember that feature that gave us an additional attack in turn 1? With it, we can now do 7 attacks in round 1 if we use Action Surge. Exactly, Gator. But late tier 2 and tier 3 is where things get truly wacky. Next, the build takes 3 levels in Hexblade so that you can regain 2nd level spell slots on a short rest, which will fuel your Pass Without Trace uptime. And it keeps our life berries plentifully stocked, renewing whichever is more relevant based on the situation. After the first Warlock level, you should make use of Good Berry while taking multiple consecutive short rests. If you have time and nothing to do, cast Good Berry with your packed slots, and immediately start your next short rest. On a day where you have nothing else to do, this will grant you 16 extra castings of the spell. That means you have a total of 640 HP worth of healing the next day. This number doubles to 1280 HP when you gain your 2nd level in Warlock. And it will increase by another 25% when you reach 3rd level in Warlock to 1600 HP. While you won't be able to get that many short rests every day, this should show you the potential healing you can provide if you aggressively short rest. And especially if you manage to convince your party to delay exploring a location by a day, so you can set up a Goodberry life support system. Now for something utterly insane I've never seen before in a build guide. Look at this! They even made a spreadsheet to track your good berries. Look at the effort. This is fantastic! I don't know if you can tell by now, but this is the most detailed ranger build on the internet. They looked at everything. And I'm speedrunning through this build because I like short videos. Oh yeah, by the way, Hexblade also gives you the shield spell. You really need it at this level. Invocations, we pick up Eldritch Mind and Devil's Sight. As soon as you hit level 3, swap out Devil's Sight with improved Pact Weapon. It's very important to pick Pact of the Blade for your Pact boon. We need it so we can pick up Eldritch Smite later. Next, 3 levels of Assassin Rogue. This gives you more consistent advantage on the first round of combat, making you less reliant on factors like lighting conditions and contribution from other party members for your Nova damage. Unlike a straight class Assassin, this build has access to the huge bonus of Pass Without Trace, allowing you to get consistent value from the Assassinate feature's guaranteed critical hits. You do a ton of damage. After that, the build goes back into Warlock for levels 16 and 17 to pick up Eldritch Smite. It's a way for us to optimally trade slots for damage that's made more efficient by Assassinate, giving us an increased ability to crit for even extra Nova. It also gets its 3rd feat, and we pick up Alert. This is for tail protection, which basically means protecting yourself against rare events. The build now does something like 250 damage on average before an enemy has taken a turn. Now, the final levels are used to take low opportunity cost boons opened up to you through the extreme amount of multiclassing. 1 level in Divine Soul Sorcerer gives you Silvery Barbs and Favored by the Gods. And reaching level 4 in Fighter and Rogue gives you more feats. Pick up Resilient Con to protect your concentration, and Lucky for even more tail protection. If you need the feats earlier, the build recommends you pick them up sooner. Wait, what? Kobold, this build starts with 16 dexterity and never improves it. How can you even call it optimized then? Yeah, the build never improves its dexterity, ever. But it does pick up Bless, Precision Attack, Trip Attack levels in Assassin Rogue for advantage, Favored by the Gods, Lucky, and more. Like, all of this is just more optimal, even if it doesn't seem that way. But anyways, that was the build video. Have fun obliterating things in round 1. I love this build. It's so fun. End of video. Describe and I hope to earn your subscription. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.